Hey Void, how you doing? I'm actually getting back on the pace of watching something and then reviewing it in the same day, so hey, not letting my month get too far ahead of me. And so I'm just rounding out my next set of rotations, this time ending on Tubi, and with The Taking of Deborah Logan. Now, this one's been on my radar for a little bit, but it's one that I knew absolutely nothing about, other than I'd seen the poster before. Taking of Deborah Logan came out in 2014 and gets dropped and found footage comments on horror subreddits fairly regularly and usually gets some pretty positive reviews. So I figured I'd give it a shot. I assumed it was some sort of possession film just based on the rough connotations, but I knew nothing else about it going in. And I was right, it was a possession type film, but not a typical one. This one, it's someone essentially doing like a video dissertation on Alzheimer's and is essentially doing a video of an older woman, Deborah Logan, as she documenting her symptoms, what she's going through. But the longer they stay with her, the, well, stranger things happen. From her seeming to just levitate, windows opening that were previously closed, and her suddenly speaking in odd voices and becoming increasingly violent. Now, the movie does an adequate job of those things, and it definitely has its creepy moments. And I will say I like some of the makeup effects, and even though some of them were a little CGI-ish towards the end, actually it's hard to say if it was. And some of the more snake-like aspects, I should say. I will say I was not expecting some of them, and that was an interesting take on it. I did like that aspect, and there was twists that I didn't quite guess. I mean, I assumed a few things, particularly with her neighbor, but beyond that, it was pretty decent about doing. But the movie did have its problems for me. First off, now I've complained about horror movies being too dark before. This one is dark, but you can see the problem I have is why is it dark? Okay, so it's late at night and Deborah Logan has gone missing from her bed, so they're looking around the house. Why are they using flashlights? Why are they not just turning on the lights? She goes missing at a hospital, then they find her in like some basement area. Why is the light switches off? There's no indication that there's a power outage or that there should be. Why is no one turning on the lights? It doesn't make any sense to me. And it's more than one area. I guess they're deliberately just trying to keep it to the flashlight thing to be creepy. I mean, I can forgive it when they're into the cave system. Fine. Okay. But or the abandoned mill. I can believe that place is without power. But you're in a hospital. And you're going down to what looks like a morgue area. The morgue has light switches. Why aren't you hitting them? I mean, yeah, sure, you live out in the sticks, but do you turn off the power completely at night? No. So why is no one flipping on a light switch to go looking for her? I don't know. It was one of those things where if the movie was a little bit better, I probably wouldn't have noticed that. It was one of those things where, because it kept happening and not enough was distracting me from it, it definitely caught my attention. I will say it's very well acted, particularly by the actress playing Deborah Logan herself, Jill Larson. She does a very good job. Everyone else does decent, but she's kind of the standout here, and she does a very good job portraying a confused woman that's battling with, Alzheimer's on top of a potential malignant influence. So, yeah, what it does well, it does pretty well. But it's not really breaking any new ground. I think they're trying to move a little bit away from like the demonic aspect and went more kind of malevolent spirit, but particularly calling up some other culture references a little bit. But for the most part, yeah, it's still a fairly basic possession film. I mean, there's a few scenes that are definitely very tense, and there's a jump here or there that works, but for a found footage, I mean, I've seen found footage exorcism movies before. This one isn't really an exorcism based one, since there's no like exorcism per se. I mean, they do something else to try to combat the thing, but the last exorcism was kind of in this ground. The devil inside was kind of in this ground. So, I mean, last exorcist I think did this one a bit better. Well, and the devil inside, well, that one had a whole slew of other problems. But this one, it doesn't really break anything new for me. The Alzheimer's angle was a bit interesting, but it was one of those things where they had to tread kind of carefully, but otherwise they'll be hitting towards the kind of an insensitive area. So I think they handled it okay myself, but some people might be a little uncomfortable with that. I don't know if there's. I will say the camera moves around a lot. It's very shaky cam. There's a lot of found footage ones that hold it either very steady or seem to be more jostled. This was kind of in between. It seemed almost like flowing back and forth. It seemed almost like an artificial way of getting the motion thing for the camera. I don't know. It was a little weird. I mean, it wasn't as bad as, what was it, Demonic, I think? It was a movie with a title like that that I reviewed a year ago, I think, where it was, I said that it was giving me motion sickness, just where the camera was moving. It isn't that bad, but it's definitely noticeable, particularly in the beginning. You get used to it, but it is a little rough. Overall, taking of Deborah Logan, I'll give it 6 MacGuffins. It's not breaking any new ground, but what it does do, it does very well. And if my only gripe is, why aren't they turning on the lights? That's a pretty minor gripe. So, it doesn't do anything, it isn't reinventing the wheel or pushing the envelope, but what it does fine. It's worth seeing, I will agree with that. Alright, so, all for the second. I don't know if I'll have a chance to record tomorrow, but should have one up the day after. Alrighty. Take care, everybody.